Davis in his 9th season in for Mick Cronin, who's dealing with that vascular disorder, arterial dissection. Cincinnati goes with Jermaine Sanders for his 3rd career start. Gary Clark, the super freshman, in the lineup once again. Meantime, on the other side for Temple, Fran Dunphy in his 9th season shows this lineup. The sophomore guard, Josh Brown, in for Cummings. Devontae Watson gets the start as well after 4 consecutive from the freshman, Obi Enechionia. So different lineups for both teams tonight. 2 of the top defenses in the American Conference. Could be a grinder here in Cincinnati.
Well, it will be a grinder. Without Will Cummings, Temple's got to be very careful with the basketball. They got to tighten up their defense. And with the insertion tonight of Jermaine Sanders in the starting lineup, Cincinnati's looking for a little bit more perimeter skill against Temple's 3-guard offense.
Cincinnati tied for 7th in the country in scoring defense, 55 a game. Here is Quentin DeCozy, who will pick up the slack. He's the leading scorer with Cummings' injury, about 14 points a game for DeCozy, the junior out of New Jersey.
Cincinnati starting in a 2-3 zone, very aggressive on the perimeter, look active with their hands.
Jalen Bond, the transfer from Texas, too strong. And here comes Cincinnati's first possession.
I like the insertion of Jermaine Sanders. Shaq Thomas has struggled as a perimeter skill guy. Numbers have been low. I think Cincinnati has to do a better job of getting the ball in the interior to their 2 big guys.
Octavius Ellis wearing number 2. Gary Clark, number 11, the bigs. Off the pass from Johnson. Copain reloads him for 3.
Very good patience by Cincinnati. Not only good ball movement, good player movement as well. Terrific spacing. Waited for the open shot.
Well, Cincinnati only shoots about 30% from 3-point range. That's down in the 300s, number 302 in the country. But an early stick for Johnson. Tipped away by Ellis. Nearly came up with it. Josh Brown in a battle for it. Tie up. Cincinnati ball.
Well, Kevin Johnson has only shot 26% from the 3-point line on the season, but balanced, ready, and the faithful fired up on a Saturday night.
You know, during shoot-around, they have this tradition where the confetti falls. They throw the newspaper. There was a piece of confetti that fell early today during shoot-around. Maybe a harbinger of things to come for Cincinnati, averaging just 61 points a game. Here's Copain with the drop-off. Gary Clark going to work. Ellis got a paw on it, couldn't come away with it, and Bond, the league's leading rebounder, has it.
Painfully reminiscent of their game the other night in Memphis, where they just missed easy shots early in the game.
I'm talking to Larry Davis about that. He felt like if you give away too many layups either way, you're really going to have a hard time winning in any league.
Well, you are, but their defense was un-Cincinnati-like, but their offense is un-Cincinnati-like early. Good flow and execution.
Sanders, the cutter, the senior, gets about 4 points a game. He's got 2, and Cincinnati pitching an early shutout.
He's a senior. He understands how to play in this system, and doing a real good job here. Defensively, he's just chasing Jesse Morgan. They are making sure they find him wherever he is on the floor.
Forced to drive and kick this time to Watson. Had it crowd away. Copain, the 19-year-old sophomore, couldn't finish. Offensive board for Johnson, and Temple dodges a bullet.
Yeah, there's 3 missed bunnies early for the Bearcats.
Rare does a Bearcat miss a bunny. And a foul call on the rebounding action. Devontae Watson over the back.
Well, Cincinnati's defense early has been aggressive, active, communicating. They're pointing out cutters, and they are staying attached wherever Jesse Morgan is. On that side of the floor, the zone extends out to the 3-point shooter, number 3, Morgan, who can light it up from downtown.
What makes Cincinnati under Mick Cronin such a good defensive team?
Well, they're going to recruit athletes. They're going to recruit toughness, and that's their MO. I mean, everybody needs an identity. That's their identity. They're a hard hat. That's what they're going to hang their hat on. Toughness on the perimeter and rebound the basketball.
But to be clear, Mick Cronin's not on the sideline for the games. He was at shoot-around earlier on today. He's essentially an advisor to the team with that vascular condition. Ellis the mishandle with 7 to shoot. Octavius Ellis left it short. And here comes Temple looking for its first goal.
That's where Ellis has got to extend to the rim and just rise up. He's got a nice jump hook.
Out of bounds, staying with Temple.
Larry Davis has just got to be beside himself early. They got an opportunity to be up about 12-0 in this game.
Here's a guy he's filling in for. Mick Cronin, 9th season, 169 and 110, 4 straight tournaments, despite the loss to Harvard last year in that first game. He says he's having a difficult time just not being able to be engaged like he wants to be in shoot-around. He's at home watching the game by himself tonight.
It was nice sitting off to the side and having a quiet Gatorade with Mick and turned his head away from the shoot-around. We just caught up on old times, and it was good. He's got to get himself better, but he looked great.
Ellis had it pinned nicely by Watson. Great defensive play. Here's Josh Brown, the sophomore, in for Cummings with that leg injury.
Temple really rushing their offense, and they will be aggressive offensively, but not comfortable yet against that zone. They're kind of just passing around the perimeter. They need to get a little bit more activity, challenge the zone on the inside.
0 for 6 to open the game for the Temple Owls, who shoot as a team just 37.5%. Ellis off the spin. He'll get 2 shots coming up.
All involved, starting with Mick Cronin in the program and Larry Davis, but couldn't be handled any better with Mick still around, getting better health-wise, and his trust in Larry Davis. And Larry Davis, just his basic core ability and experience, not only to run the show, but also know what Mick Cronin wants on a day-to-day basis.
How difficult do you think that would be for you? Say, while you were at Providence, you weren't able to coach for a little while. But how do you think you'd feel?
It's brutal. I mean, I can't even understand what Mick is going through. And catching up with him today was terrific, just to see him face to face. He is getting better, and the reassurances that he's going to make a full recovery. But it's just tough. This is your life. This is what you do. And to sit home on a Saturday night and watch your team is just really brutal.
Jesse Morgan gets the first 2 for Temple. Past the outstretched arm of Ellis, so 7-2, Cincinnati the lead.
Good job by Temple attacking the pressure. They're not going to fool around. They've got athletes. If they get it up the sideline, they're going to attack the rim.
Cincinnati playing without Jelon Gwynn, who's got a pinky finger injury. He's been out since game number 2, so Copain has been playing in the backcourt with Johnson together. Shaq Thomas into the game with that long jumper, and Temple ball.
Well, that's Shaq Thomas in a poor shot selection. He thinks he's a perimeter shooter, but he's got to be more around the basket and in the lane. And you look at his numbers, and that's why one of the reasons he came off the bench tonight. He is not delivered.
Brown against Johnson, the zone for Cincinnati. Brown with Copain for 2. Josh Brown, pretty good scorer out of the very highly thought of St. Anthony's program.
Well, Josh Brown is not Will Cummings, but he's the next best thing. He's going to be a solid point guard all night long for Fran Dunphy. He has that ability to get in the lane and a top-notch defender on the ball.
Here is Shaq Thomas. You talked about him playing maybe out of his range. How do you convince him to do otherwise?
He's going to get convinced in about a second, because Jermaine Sanders is going to come back in the game for him. He lost his starting job, and now he's coming out of the game immediately.
Tough shot for DeCozy, and the rebound for Ellis. So Ellis turned to Mike Stewart, thought maybe he was fouled. Cincinnati by 3 with the ball.
Roger Moore posting up on the box. He wanted the ball from Kevin Johnson, but he's got to work harder to get better position before they deliver him the ball down in the low post.
Ellis, the jumper, and Jalen Bond, the rebound. Strong rebounder for Temple. Jalen Bond, best in the conference, 8.5 a game. Morgan for the tie, and we're even at 7.
Poor defense by Cincinnati. They ran back and just followed the basketball and lost sight of who was behind the ball, or ahead of the ball, excuse me, and that was Jesse Morgan. They didn't stay attached.
Morgan coming in, 108 field goal tries in 250 minutes this year. He's a high volume shooter, but can really score. Ellis from Copain had it blocked. Nicely done again down low by Jalen Bond. DeCozy for Bond, and he's got Temple's first lead.
Getting comfortable in transition. Started on the defensive end of the floor, and they're going to push it. They don't have a numbered break. They're going to run to their spots on the floor. Good delivery by DeCozy to Bond.
That added dimension for Temple. The early ankle injury, but Jalen Bond, a very aggressive rebounder. Jack Thomas ties the game.
Well, that's his range. He's got to find out. He's got to understand what his game is all about. And 12 feet and in, Shaq Thomas can be a very important player and a good player for Cincinnati.
Any comparison there to Justin Jackson, the way he's playing his junior year, maybe as compared to Jackson's senior year?
Shaq Thomas?
Yeah.
No, not at all. He's averaging 4 rebounds a game.
That's going to go down in history. And Huggins was right.
Back in the day when the officials just make the call, it's good and run right out the door instead of 10 minutes at the monitor. That's what's enjoyable. Excitement.
That was
at
your
the
favorite
horn.
part.
Well, excitement at the horn. You can't even celebrate these days because you got to wait for the good or no good call.
Farad Cobb, the transfer, is in to play point for Cincinnati. Here he is, a streaky shooter. Deshaun Mormon, the freshman, left it short. And Cobb, the offensive rebound. Cincinnati, 38% of its boards on the offensive glass. Bulky freshman Quadri Moore, and they're just playing volleyball right now.
Cincinnati's bigs continue just to throw the ball up on the rim instead of shooting it with accuracy.
One and done for Temple. Cincinnati just 2 for its last 13. Make it 14.
Good move though by Deshaun Mormon. He got right into the gap against that zone before it was set.
Had a great game against Memphis offensively, 11, tying his career high as the freshman Obi and Echionia scores his first 2, a spark off the bench.
Echionia, he is a good-looking freshman that they're bringing off the bench because he continues to get in foul trouble. Not like a lot of freshman bigs, but very active and a promising future for Temple.
He had been starting, sits the bench today with Devontae Watson taking that spot. Morgan gave up the open early look. Brown fell on a foul against Cincinnati. Sunday night basketball this week in the ACC continues from Chapel Hill. Marcus Page, the number 15 Tar Heels, against the Hokies of Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Sunday at 6:30 on ESPNU. Foul on Mormon, his first, team's first. Each team 2 losses in the American as Morgan doesn't decline on that one and parries another. Jesse Morgan has 8.
Cincinnati continues to back away. At the start of the game, they were very conscious of where Morgan was, but now he is sliding into that open area. They need to find him.
Local product from Philadelphia, from 19th Street, transferred from UMass. See if Cincinnati can shoot over this Temple defense. Cobb traveled.
Fran Dunphy has employed his version of let's sit in a little zone and be aggressive on the perimeter, and right now it's taking Cincinnati out of rhythm.
Might have watched some video of Coach K earlier today, huh?
Stop the presses, Duke playing zone, and certainly was effective, and we'll see if Duke continues to go against their motto, slapping the floor in your face man, but they have not been successful with that, so they changed their philosophy and changed their way today at Louisville.
14-2 run for Temple after trailing 7-0. Moved down to 9 minutes to go in the first half. 2 very good defensive teams. Ellis got a hand on it, and because of the tip, Temple would argue that they should be able to recover that ball, but it was touched again by Temple, and Fran Dunphy doesn't like it.
That's a tough call to swallow. It looked like Cincinnati stuck their hand in the play defensively for the deflection. And Fran Dunphy agrees.
So Cincinnati with the starters back on. Copain in for Cobb at the point. And Mike Stewart has a foul. It's on Enechionia, his first, team's third.
Those are the type of fouls that Fran Dunphy is trying to avoid with his big man. Just off the ball, no resistance at the rim, just trying to wrap around on the box for the freshman.
Morgan got a piece of it to knock it away. And they'll reset with Johnson, the sophomore. 4-3. 6 for Johnson.
Kevin Johnson has been disappointing as a sophomore, stepping into the starting lineup, starting to look good tonight.
Devin Coleman, nice little thread through for Bond. And Enechionia got a paw on it, and Cincinnati looking to tie or take the lead.
Enechionia just active on the glass, and Bond should have finished in transition.
Two bigs playing together, Enechionia and Bond down low. Nice kick to the corner. Johnson couldn't hit the three, and a foul on the rebounding action. This Temple team has had some first half leads, though. They won 3 in a row in the American Conference. The last 2 games, Tulsa closed 39-21 with the injury to Cummings. And you see the opponent's field goal percentage. Defense has been better this year for Temple, but not in those 20-minute sprints.
Well, I think they're more rock solid defensively. They've got a rim protector. They're more experienced on the perimeter. They have more depth. They're just besieged with injuries a year ago, but currently they're being besieged by the whistles as the refs continue to blow these mystery fouls off the ball.
That one was on Bond, his first, and Temple can't really afford foul trouble today with the injury to Cummings. Not a terribly deep team. Very few teams in college basketball can withstand a couple of injuries.
Got a defensive set. Kevin Johnson found Jesse Morgan early in transition and got up into his chest.
Where do you go if you're Cincinnati with this lineup for offense?
I think Cincinnati does not have a go-to guy, and they've got to continue to share the basketball and play 5 as 1, and that's what they did to start this game, and go inside, outside, have a balance.
Ellis on Enechionia. Double team comes from Coleman. Ellis shoots through it and ties the game.
Well, that's what we're talking about with balance, being able to feed the post. Kevin Johnson did a nice job. They cleared some space. Went to the weak side of the floor. You've got to guard Johnson a little tougher with the threes, and Ellis had the space to maneuver and operate inside.
Octavius Ellis, who began his career at Cincinnati, redshirted 2011, was kicked out of the program 2012, now back as a more mature junior out of Memphis, and his homecoming on Thursday in that loss. Nice pass down low for 2 as Temple takes the lead once again, and Enechionia has 4.
Enechionia, though, nice cut. You don't see big guys move so fluidly off the ball, moving in motion, catching it and finishing it.
Johnson gave up on the 3. Copain the extra pass for Sanders on the slice off the bank.
Things are working for Jermaine Sanders. Got the start tonight, making the most of it. Looked like he was maybe throwing a lob pass to Ellis, but figured I'll take it myself.
Take it how you can get it. A low line drive for Coleman, and the junior out of Philadelphia, the transfer from Clemson, sticks a 3.
That's what they need Devin Coleman to do. An instant offense guy off the bench, undersized, playing the back of the zone, but toughness with the left.
He and Morgan were into the lineup together in the second semester, and Temple won the first 6 with those 2 guys. Haven't seen much from Clark tonight. That's his first strong post move, the freshman.
Spinning the other way with a home loss to Kansas State, and then West Virginia just throttling them on the road, just not handling the pressure of Bob Huggins' Mountaineers.
Clark ties the game at 19. Cincinnati and Temple, each team a couple of losses in the American. 2 losses in a row for Temple against SMU and Tulsa. Cincinnati fell to Memphis on Thursday. He does have a win on this court against SMU in league play. Rebound for Shaq Thomas in Cincinnati.
Mark Williams, although he is 6'8", 240, likes to wander on the perimeter. And an inconsistent shooter. He's got to mix and match his game a little bit more for Temple.
.14 to shoot for Cincinnati. Punched away by Williams, playing in front of the freshman Clark.
Well, that's just an example of Cincinnati's struggles. Kevin Johnson kind of didn't have a good angle into the low post, and they've got to have better entry passes in for guys that can finish, like Octavius Ellis and Gary Clark, but you're not going to be able to pass the ball into the post from 30 feet away in the middle of the floor.
Tied at 19, 5 to shoot for Cincinnati. Thomas, hard drive, couldn't finish. Ellis, second chance, rolled it out.
I like that drive by Shaq Thomas, though, understanding that the shot clock was winding down. Instead of just taking a wild jumper on the perimeter, just do what you do best. Go with your right hand, create an angle and an opportunity at the rim. And he drew the help, and Ellis found his way on the backside.
Octavius Ellis, junior, second leading scorer, and nobody on this team averages 10 or more. Ellis at 9.3, second on the team as Cincinnati leads 20-19 with 4:29 to go. First half.
It's a new basketball team, and everybody in Cincinnati has been spoiled by the successes that they've had here under Mick Cronin. But they're kind of retooling with good athletes, good players. They've got a deep team, but they're so inexperienced. You're going to go through nights like they had on the road at Memphis. They've just got to continue to play with what they do well, and that's toughness on the defensive end of the floor and rebounding the basketball.
How difficult is it for a young player to remember to play defense when the offense isn't happening?
Well, in today's world, it's difficult, but that's what Mick Cronin does best. You know, he delivers the message, and Larry Davis, is that you cannot let your lack of offense affect your defense. And Mick Cronin said it best. You know, we're not recruiting 5-6 3-point shooters out there. This is who we are. This is our identity. We're a defense-first team. We're a get-in-your-face, hard hat type team. We're going to pressure you. We're going to pressure you full court. We're going to get in your face in the half court. Then we're going to go get it off the glass. And on nights when they struggled, they haven't done that. You know, they've had great games. San Diego State, at NC State, they couldn't play any better. But inconsistency at times because of the youth and inexperience.
They lead 21-19, 4 minutes to go in the first half, and a bailout foul yields 2 free throws, but Sid wants to see it with the defensive efficiency of his team, and he's got a 2-point lead as Brown goes to the free throw line for 2 shots.
Well, there hasn't been a flurry of easy attempts at the rim like there were in the second half of the Memphis game. And down the stretch, I thought Cincinnati against Memphis just did not play with any type of fire on the defensive end of the floor. I think it was their offense, their lack of offense, that affected their defense against Memphis, but none of that has happened tonight. I think the message has been delivered by the coaching staff. Let's play our style of basketball defensively.
Through the sea of big heads, Josh Brown out of St. Anthony, and Newark ties the game at 21, 3:59 to go first half. Those Tim Welch big heads are in production right now, right?
Well, Fran Dunphy's just trying to scratch and claw on both ends of the floor without Will Cummings, and I like that the way Temple has played so far with a lot of confidence.
Down low, Ellis spins, and we'll go to the line again. Octavius Ellis perfect from there so far tonight.
Clearly, Cincinnati's game plan has been to deliver the ball inside and attack Temple's lack of size and experience. And that time, Devontae Watson just got caught dead behind Octavius Ellis, and give Cincinnati's guards a ton of credit. They're spacing the floor, they're reversing the ball, and they're making a conscious effort to deliver the ball inside to Octavius Ellis and Gary Clark.
How do you remind your team, we've talked about this before, but how do you remind your team to get the ball inside to these guys?
Well, first and foremost, you have to have guys that can do that. I mean, I think that's one of Cincinnati's problems. The guys like Kevin Johnson and Shaq Thomas, you look at their assist-to-turnover ratio, it's dreadful for a 2-guard and a 3-man. You need better guys on the perimeter, skill guys. And so they have to do a better job of understanding, getting better angles and making simple passes. And I think that starts on the perimeter. And then, of course, the bigs have to work hard to get open.
Going the other way on the whistle against Temple.
That's a 5-second call, and right there that you see just Temple's lack of poise at the point guard spot. And it wasn't just Josh Brown's fault. It was nobody was getting open on the wings.
Ellis. And the rebound for Cincinnati, and Ellis, he traveled.
Again, they did a good job, and Cincinnati has kind of changed their scheme a little bit tonight. They put their four-man, Gary Clark, on the wing, and they've asked him to deliver the ball inside because he is, besides Troy Copain, he is their best passer. So they're looking to go Clark and Ellis, the two bigs on the same side of the floor.
That was your guy, John Linehan, who created some 5-second calls in his day over on the Temple sideline now.
He didn't create many 5-second calls. He just took it from him. We used to say, just sick him, John, and he did it.
All-time steals leader in NCAA history. And DeCozy draws the foul on Thomas. We were talking about John Linehan, his first year on the sideline with Fran Dunphy. And have you seen anyone better defensively on guards bringing the ball up?
No. And, you know, we take no credit for what he did. He did not, no, you cannot teach what he did when he played. And it's unbelievable that he's back here after a really successful professional career overseas in Europe, and got a beautiful family, a wife, a son who's 6 years old, and now he's didn't take my advice, and he's into the coaching business. But I wouldn't want him with anybody else except Fran Dunphy. He is with a great guy on the sidelines, and he gave him a nice opportunity, and we're thankful for that, and he's going to make the most of it.
Well, hearing you talk about him, there's a lot in terms of work ethic that people can learn from them, right?
Well, and the players as well. And, you know, he's going to try to move his way up in the coaching ranks. But, you know, as you hire a staff, you know, so much goes into it. And I'm talking to Mick Cronin about that today. And he is so smart having the staff he has on the sidelines, and an experienced, mature, trustworthy, and guys that are going to deliver the message. And those are guys you want to be around. And that's what Fran Dunphy and Mick Cronin have done.
No decision there for Ellis. He had an open man over on the wing with Mormon as DeCozy went 1 for 3 from the line. Copain on Morgan off the drive and kick. Clark gave up the 3. Johnson has 2 threes already. Clark with 2 to shoot. And the follow's there. Second chance for Clark.
I really like Gary Clark. What's not to like? He is working his tail off on a low box to get position and finish.
DeCozy the lob for Jalen Bond, and the scoring ramps up.
They give Temple a lot of credit, though. They came back and just attacked that pressure up sideline, and Cincinnati did not retreat on the backside in their coverage.
Copain right down the boulevard, gets the blocking foul, and he'll go to the line for 2.
Well, again, Cincinnati's game plan tonight, Jason, has been to go inside, and see a nice job by Clark. A bad delivery by Johnson, but Clark just works to get the ball, misses, and just reworks on at the rim. And Cincinnati not running back and setting their pressure up. And Gary Clark got caught under the net, and no one filled his spot in the backside of their 2-2-1 press.
There's Troy Copain, who had 14 points in that loss to Memphis on Thursday. Just a 19-year-old who played 3 years at Cosby High School in Midlothian, Virginia, after a year at Bishop O'Connell. He was commuting about 90 minutes each way that 1 year and decided to move to Midlothian. Played his final 3 years there, and now Cincinnati's leading scorer.
Here's the 2-2-1 pressure. They're extending a little bit. They're going to trap in the backcourt.
See what it leads to. Morgan. Here's DeCozy on the drive, and Encionia has 6. Obi and Encionia, instead of starting, comes off the bench, and he's filled it up.
Well, he's comfortable on that wing, that short baseline area. He can almost step out to the three-point line. He is a keeper for Temple and playing with more activity on the offensive end tonight.
Fran Dunphy said at shoot-around today, one of the best big man bodies he's had as a freshman, maybe the best. Ellis on the pitch out. Step through for Johnson for 2 more. 8 for Kevin Johnson.
Good patience by Cincinnati against the Temple zone, getting in the middle of the floor, and then Johnson very balanced on the baseline.
Temple go 2 for 1 here. We'll see what they decide to do.
Both teams do a nice job of keeping the other off balance with the changing defenses.
Morgan's been a little gun shy tonight. He weaves through and goes to the free throw line. Watching Temple, there are some early shots from Morgan the last couple of games. He's been smarter with the shot clock tonight.
Well, Jesse Morgan, that's something you don't see him do, weave and cut through the middle of the defense, but he saw a seam in the middle of that zone, and nice job of finding the vacuum and getting to the rim. He does not get to the free throw line very often, but adding a little bit of his game tonight to mix and match against that pressure defense.
Just his 9th free throw all year. How tough is it as a coach to deal with somebody like that who is a volume shooter and can make it for you, but almost has to shoot a high amount?
Well, I mean, you like him. I mean, you like his experience, his toughness that he brings to the program, and he's only a one-semester guy. So clearly, Temple will be.
35 seconds to go first half, and Cincinnati looks like will have the last possession of this half. Brown, couple of sophomores, and a timeout called by Larry Davis with 18. Contributor with Will Cummings out today, will not play after the injury last Saturday, the lower leg injury, a muscle above his ankle. So without Cummings, Temple within 1 on the road. Copain with 5. Troy Copain, the floater blocked by an Encionia. So Cincinnati and Tecozy only 2 field goals in the absence of Cummings. He's 0 for 2 from the floor. Talking to Fran Dunphy, maybe you hurt the most by Cummings' absence on the defensive end. That's where Tulsa exploited them in the second half last week as Morgan tries to go to work, and he's 1 and done off the rebound from Ellis.
Well, that's not his game. I mean, he's good off the ball when he's slashing, finds an angle to the rim, but he's tried to go one-on-one off the bounce, and Cincinnati prevent.
Tremendous rebounding team, Cincinnati, only outboarded once all season in 16 games, +3 right now. Ellis off the dump down from Clark, big to big.
Well, there's no question about it. Besides Troy Copain, the next best skilled passer for Cincinnati is Gary Clark, and they are creating opportunities inside.
Just a freshman Clark as Temple turns it over for the 6th time on an average of 10. Johnson thought about setting his feet for 3. He had 2 of them in the first half. It's a foul on Devontae Watson, his 3rd, and a needless 3rd foul.
Well, I like Cincinnati's game plan. Out of the gate tonight, they said, we're going inside, and they're going inside with their most skilled players, creating almost a 2-on-2 game with Gary Clark and Octavius Ellis attacking Temple's lack of interior presence.
Talked about Clark and his athletic ability. He had a quadruple double in his high school career. 22, 21, 15 blocks and 10 assists.
I like his 1.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio, which not many Cincinnati players have, and they're perfect execution on the baseline out. Copain on the curl.
First 4 on a halftime to Cincinnati against Temple without point guard, the senior Will Cummings.
This team has it in them. It has to start defensively, and then if they get into a little bit of rhythm on offense, that's a bonus, and they did against San Diego State and NC State.
High low that time. Watson couldn't finish. Here comes Cincinnati with Sanders, who got the start tonight with Shaq Thomas hitting the bench.
I like Jermaine Sanders in this lineup. He just kind of gives him a calming influence on the wing. He doesn't need to shoot the ball. Solid defender, and he does that. He's going to give it up to Gary Clark and Octavius Ellis on the post.
Into Jalen Bond, who has 2 fouls. Clark gets it back and travel. No basket, travel first.
Cincinnati bench doesn't like the call, but I like their ability and their willingness to share the basketball, space the floor, and go inside.
There's Quentin Tecozy, the junior out of Union, New Jersey, who plays about 31 minutes a game. Typically a very high scorer, but he's cooled off the last week. Brown, the lefty, can't hit the runner, and here comes Cincinnati up 5.
how they started the game. They really did a good job of reversing the floor and moving the pieces to make themselves difficult to defend. And they're answering the bell out of the locker room in the second half.
Cincinnati led the game 7-0. Then Temple scored the next 9. Clark will go to the free throw line using the body to get 2 shots.
Well, Temple clearly has to make an adjustment. Cincinnati is doing what they have not done in the past. And inside first. That time Troy Copain did not clear space on the interior. They've got to give more help as Clark takes that second and third bounce to the rim. But Jalen Bond has to do a better job, first and foremost, getting around Clark so the entry is not so easy.
And with that catch and the foul, Jalen Bond now has 3 personals. So Bond with 3 and Watson with 3. The 2 in the front court for Temple, each with 3 fouls.
You know, when you break Cincinnati down, you look at their guys, maybe who has that ability, maybe be a considered double-figure scorer. I think it is Gary Clark, but he's got to have help. He's got to have those guys that can deliver the pass first. And tonight they're doing a much better job of creating space, throwing inside, and he's delivering.
Temple against the pressure. Jesse Morgan handling the ball. To Cozy. Early in the shot clock, missed it, and he's never found his rhythm tonight. Just 2 for his last 11 from 3-point range.
Well, Cincinnati's problem has been they've taken their lack of offensive execution and being able to just score points, and that's kind of brought their defense down a notch. But tonight they've been good, solid on the offensive end, but their defense has been exceptional all night long.
Temple subs out both those bigs with a foul trouble. So Williams, the sophomore, and Enechionia, the freshman, are in the 4 and 5 spots for Temple. Critical moment, down 7 for the Owls. It's a foul on Williams, pushing Clark out of the paint. So Mark Williams with his second personal.
Well, there's no reason for Mark Williams to foul Gary Clark when he's trying to post up 12 feet from the basket. I mean, he's not even near a scoring area. He's got to play good, solid defense.
Off the baseline, out of bounds again. They get 2 more with Clark.
Well, that is a scoring area for Gary Clark, and Mark Williams relaxed and then didn't get into the stance, and Clark just overpowered him on the baseline.
8 in a row out of the gate in the second half for the Bearcats at home. Drive and kick, and Enechionia for 3.
Comfortable from the perimeter, the big fella stepping out, and Temple answered.
Just the 5th 3 of his career for Obi Enechionia, and he cuts the lead to 6.
Well, he's got to step up now on the defensive end of the floor and deny Octavius Ellis and be more of a presence at the rim defensively.
Cincinnati's been very patient offensively tonight. Copain, the sophomore, ring it up for 3.
Balance to your offense, so important, and tonight that's what Cincinnati has. They're going inside first, which has opened up the perimeter for Troy Copain and Kevin Johnson.
Just a 30% three-point shooting team. They get the 3 from Copain. Ellis shuffled his feet. He traveled. But Cincinnati out of halftime. We got an 8-point win. And by the way, a young Mick Cronin was on the bench. Age 12, it looks like.
Look at that guy. Back in the day when he was getting all those players for Bob Huggins.
That's right.
Getting Huggy his coffee and getting him players.
The life of an assistant coach.
Yeah, there you go. That's what John Lenahan's doing for Dunk. And listen, you walk into this building, you say, well, it's not that hard of a place. It doesn't look like much. But then you come in here, and number one, it's usually great players. And number two, it is a loud, raucous crowd. Is that what they call it? Raucous.
Some do.
Raucous crowd in Cincinnati.
Time to shoot.
Intimidating.
Yes. All of that. Williams late in the shot clock. That's an air ball. Cincinnati takes over.
Well, they're very loyal fans here, and you've built the program with a tradition of winning and toughness. And tonight, Cincinnati has delivered that with just in-your-face defense coming out of the locker room in the second half, and Fran Dumpy just trying to find the right combinations. Some struggles on both ends of the floor, now trying to change the rhythm of Cincinnati going to a 2-3 zone.
So 4 for 6 from three-point range tonight. They picked their spots very well as Clark from the foul line and nearby hits it too.
Reminiscent of the NC State game where they just executed tremendously offensively. They just moved the ball. They had a game plan and they stuck to it. And Mick Cronin tweeted it out after the NC State game. He hasn't had a team that executed the scouting report better than they did that night. In the second half tonight, they are answering the bell.
A big win over an ACC team in that one. DeCozy drew that foul earlier in the game. And Encionia feeling it for three. He's got 2 of them.
Remember the scouting report, and now you have to make adjustments during the game. And Encionia is feeling comfortable from the perimeter. Cincinnati has to adjust.
6'9", and Encionia has 12 points. Temple's high. The response there for Kevin Johnson, who's 1 short of his season high. And a whistle before Cincinnati. Rod Cobb is checked in to play point guard. Here's Clark, the freshman, who's had a nice second half for himself. Offensive foul against Cincinnati. Away from the ball, Larry Davis's group turns it over. It's on Ellis, his second.
It's on the perimeter, though. Kevin Johnson hasn't done it much tonight, but he held the ball. He got the ball at the top. He's got to quickly reverse the ball to the wing instead of holding on it.
Second foul in a couple seconds. This one on Johnson, his second. Cincinnati was foulless for the first 6 minutes and change here in the second half. Now 2 in a split second. Jesse Morgan finds an opening and lifted out. Would have been a big 3 for Temple.
It was good offense by Temple, finding an open Morgan on the weak side of the floor. Just couldn't deliver.
Owls without Will Cummings. 13 points a game with a leg injury. Got hurt again, exacerbated the injury and shoot around this morning. Nice cut by Jermaine Sanders without the ball.
The play of the day may be Larry Davis inserting Jermaine Sanders into the lineup. Experience, savvy on the wing.
Sanders with 6 in just his 3rd career start.
He's not the high-wire athlete that Shaq Thomas is, but for this group, he is the better basketball player and fits into their system so far tonight.
You said it, a calming influence on the team. Brown with 5 to shoot, and there's a foul on the ground. The body of Cobb. Monday on ESPNU, Isaiah Taylor and number 20 Texas taking on in-state rival TCU. It's Big Monday presented by Verizon. It tips at 7 on ESPNU, and a huge spread today for the Longhorns in that game against West Virginia.
Getting their act together, and they needed to.
And Encionia blocked at the rim. Off the kick, Cobb nails the 3.
For Rod Cobb, that's what he does. He is instant offense. He showed it in the San Diego State game. That's what they need.
Out of bounds to Temple, trailing by 16. Largest lead tonight for Cincinnati.
Cobb is instant offense off the bench, and he has been inconsistent at best, but when he gets into a rhythm, he can be a game changer for Cincinnati.
Now, where does Temple go offensively here?
They've got to go to Jesse Morgan to see if they can get him something from the perimeter, and there he creates his own opportunity in the lane.
Off the second chance, Morgan has 12, a game high for Temple. Cobb wanted another one, decided better of it.
He's got to take what the defense gives him, not rush things.
Ellis sweeping through, draws the foul and scores. So Robertson with those All-American Hall of Fame numbers, and the Big O, part of Fifth Third Arena here in Cincinnati, as the Bearcats have hit 11 of their last 12 shots to take a 17-point lead.
They've got their rhythm, there's no question about it. Temple's problem has been on the offensive end of the floor, where Cincinnati has 24 points in this half in the first 8 minutes and 53 on the night. They only average 58 a game in conference, so they're in a rhythm, and Temple has to do something about that if they're going to get back in this game.
Morgan hopping through the lane. And Echionia tries it for two and has two more. 14 for Obi and Echionia.
Fred Dunphy just trying to find the right combination, and Bond and Echionia have done a nice job offensively, but it's been on this end of the floor where they have to do a better job denying on the box.
Career night for an Echionia with the 14 points. Shaq Thomas takes it into his own hands for two.
I like that move as well by Larry Davis, playing Shaq Thomas at the 4, where he is not skilled enough to play the 3, but at the 4 he can be a tough matchup, and he showed it going one-on-one in the lane.
Jalen Bond left it short. Here comes Farad Cobb with the cavalry behind him. Sanders sticks the 3. What a night for Jermaine Sanders.
Well, it's amazing when one guy starts feeling it. Sometimes it's contagious, and they are everywhere on both ends of the floor.
Kevin Johnson the intercept. Sanders trailer, one more, and he missed it long.
They had numbers there. Sanders' opportunity on the first basket was wide open there. He probably should have attacked.
Out of bounds, and it's Cincinnati ball.
Their offense has caught up, and they look very tough.
Cincinnati's made 13 of its last 15. Temple 2 for its last 8, leading to a 20-point spread. You saw 16 seconds were added to the clock. The clock was running during that last possession, so the official went over to the far side table and talked it over, added 16 seconds after timing it out. Here's Coriante Jabari, the junior, and a whistle on the rebounding action. The junior out of Holland, Michigan. ACC Sunday night basketball continues from Chapel Hill. Marcus Page, the number 15 Tar Heels, against the Hokies of Virginia Tech. Buzz Williams, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Sunday 6:30 on ESPNU. Carolina, one of those teams hanging around in the top 25, had a couple of early losses they might want back. Playing pretty well right now.
Well, that's the key, is that they've got Marcus Page clicking in there. Their defense has been much better as of late, and impressive win last Monday night over a real good Notre Dame team. 2 Mondays ago, excuse me, I forgot that the college football national championship was last Monday. And now we're into hoop season.
You were too busy watching Film Room, weren't you?
Of course.
You had them all DVR.
It's nice, though, that we are full throttle college basketball after the end of college football season.
Ball on the deck, picked up by Cobb. Cross lane. Sanders for 2 more.
Well, speaking briefly to Mick Cronin today, he said that's what Farad Cobb has to do. He just can't be a guy who makes shots. He's got to do other things out on the floor for us. And tonight he has played more like a point guard. And defensively, Farad Cobb just on the basketball, harassing and doing a nice job with his head up and delivering to the open man. And this is what Cincinnati needs, more of a team effort from not only the starters, but the guys that come in at the guard spot.
Jalen Bond draws a foul. Looks like the second on Jabari. Jermaine Sanders, by the way, last 4 games, a total of 8 points. He's got 11 tonight, and you talked about the way he's helped them handle the offense, but he scored well tonight, too.
Well, he takes what the defense gives him. He understands he's not a guy, it's not flashy. He's not going to beat you off the bounce. He's not a high-wire player, but he's a basketball player with experience. They trust him in the program. He's going to play solid defense. He's not going to take shots that aren't in his range and rhythm, and he's got a positive assist-to-turnover ratio. I think that's the most important thing. That's why he was in the lineup tonight.
Devin Coleman barreling into the lane, and a wild shot leads to a rebound for Sanders. Temple without Will Cummings. Cobb buries the 3, and Cincinnati is going wild offensively tonight.
Farad Cobb, reminiscent of the San Diego State game where he brought them back from the dead and just took the game over down the stretch. But tonight, everyone is feeling it for the Bearcats.
Cobb gave up the 3, 1 extra pass, and another for Sanders. three-point range of the game, 6 for 7 in the last 11 minutes and change.
Well, Larry Davis and his staff have done a nice job getting his team ready tonight, but it also has to be said, you know, it's nice to have Mick Cronin around the program where he can deliver the little subtle messages to the kids and just be around and show his disappointment just in the office from their efforts against Memphis.
Did you say subtle and Mick Cronin at the same time?
He has to be. He has to be. That's important.
For Rod Cobb, not enough. Sanders, how about it?
The dirty work, lunch pail, the lunch pail guy. You got to have a lunch pail guy to be a good team, and that's what Jermaine Sanders is, and that's why he started tonight. The dirty work.
Brown to drop off, and Egionia out of bounds. Temple will keep it. Coming up after this, sent it by Verizon. It tips at 7 on ESPNU. Texas, pretty strong team once again.
TCU with a solid road win. Much improved TCU team.
Cincinnati can't be stopped tonight. Johnson buries his 4th three.
Kevin Johnson looked over at Floyd Propane and said, see, I can shoot the ball. I'm telling you guys that. Well, tonight I'm proving it. He hasn't done it much this year, but this could be a breakthrough game for confidence with Kevin Johnson.
9 out of 13 from three-point range for the Bearcats.
Kind of the way Temple played against Kansas. Everything they threw up went in. But it's got to start on the defensive end of the floor, and that's what Temple did to Kansas. And tonight, that's what Cincinnati did to Temple.
If you're Temple, how do you bounce back? What do you need to happen?
Well, you listen to that guy over the sideline. He's got a ton of wins over the years because he knows how to take this game and analyze it, reanalyze it, deliver a new message, and figure out how to win the next game. And you got to try to get Will Cummings back up and running because he's so important. You see just one piece. You didn't think it would be that drastic, but it is. They're just so important to this team. He handles the ball, he defends, he makes shots, he gets people involved, and just he has an air of confidence around him when he's running the club.
Big round of applause. Floyd Propane comes off the court. There's Jimmy McDonald, a grad student for Temple, who came into the game with 3 points all season. It's not going to take a Steve Sanders 3 tonight like 25 years ago. Now Fifth Third Arena, Cincinnati in a runaway this evening. Quadri Moore the reverse for 2, and Cincinnati's got 83.
Larry Davis has to be very proud of this club tonight. Just the way they reacted and came back after this kind of a loss. They got knocked down. They got knocked on their backside at Memphis. And yesterday was a long day of listening and learning and listening and learning and watching film and get the message of this is how you win here in Cincinnati. We're built with defense first. We're not a team that's going to try to outscore you. We're going to try to knock you down with our defense first, and if the offense comes, then we're really going to knock you down, and that's what happened tonight.
Coaches call it listening and learning. Players call it a long day, right?
Hey, whatever it is, that's what you sign up for when you come to a program like this, and that's what the coaches emphasized yesterday at length.
Rob Blissett Jr., Zach Tobler are in for Cincinnati. That's Blissett on the defense and Williams for Temple as we move down to 2 minutes. McDonald over everyone for the rebound, and here comes Mormon, the freshman out of Richmond. Tobler fills the lane, and he'll go to the free throw line.
This Tobler's got his name on the back of his jersey. Filling the lane, the rim run. Look at that, and the perfect delivery.
Free throw no good for Tobler.
And everyone will point to the three-point shooting when you on the recap, on the morning recap of this game. But in my estimation, it was their ability early in this game to establish an inside presence offensively, and that opened up a lot of different things. And I think Cincinnati has two very, very fine inside players in Gary Clark and Octavius Ellison, and they continue to do that. That will open up everything else for them on the offensive end.
Poster time for Mormon, and he missed the layup. Williams sees it opening, figures why not, so Mark Williams with his 11-3. And we move down to a minute to go. Cobb unselfish. Tobler. And a foul on the rebound.
Cincinnati, we talked about their ability to throw the ball inside, but they opened up this margin from beyond the line and shared the basketball, spaced it, and continued to build with confidence. They pushed it up the floor, and they ran to their spots. And once they started feeling it, it was contagious, and everybody chipped in. 1, 2, 3, 4 from downtown.
In conference play, Cincinnati had hit no more than 6 threes in any game. They got 9 tonight, and a season high 83 points.
Well, the next message as a coach, you always worry about the next situation, is wait a minute, let's not think we're a three-point shooting team. This is how we're built. We're still going to start with our defense. We're going to go inside first. We're going to push it up. We'll take threes and opportunity after we move the defense and get open. But they can't come down and start just become a three-point shooting team either. They've got to have that balance. And I think if they do that, then Cincinnati could build on this and be a real good team down the stretch.
Larry Davis said it earlier today in shoot-around that sometimes success is harder to sustain than trying to bounce back from failure, because you get guys doing some things that are outside of the scope of what they normally do.
Absolutely. And that's the use of today. I don't want to sound like an old timer, but you know, that's what you're dealing with as a coach, and you have to manage that all the time because there's so many outside influences now that you didn't have to deal with in the past. But if you understand that's what you're up against, you can handle it.
There was no Twitter when you were coaching.
No. I mean, that wasn't that long ago.
No, I'm not trying to date you there. I just said fewer distractions. Blizzard with the free throw, his first free throw make of the year, his 4th point of the season. Final possession for Temple, which will drop to 3-3 in the American. Cincinnati on the way to 3-2 in the league in that group of 2 loss teams that have traveled against more. Tulsa leading the league, then SMU following, and that flood of 2 loss teams, including Connecticut, which lost on the road at Tulsa, has a big chance for a statement win for the American tonight, though, at Stanford.
Well, Tulsa, though, when you look at them, they came out of the gates very unevenly because of the coaching change, the new style of play. But now they have found themselves, and they showed Connecticut that they are for real, and beating Temple on the road as well.
Cincinnati, a season high 84 points to douse Temple on its home court. The Bearcats get the win.
About all the beatdowns he gave me.
So Cincinnati with a big lead here, 69-38, under 8 to play. You got him back, though, when he was at St. John's, didn't you?
No, never. Dominated.
Had your number? DeCozy with his first field goal of the night. Without Cummings, they certainly could use more from DeCozy. It's a nice play by Brown off the steal. And Temple will hang on.
It's so hard when your team is built around one player to run the show, the quarterback to lead on both ends of the floor. A senior leader plays 34 minutes a game, and Will Cummings, and all of a sudden now he's taken out of the equation. So in the short term, it's very, very difficult. In the long term, you can make adjustments. But when we came out today, Will Cummings was involved with the shoot-around, so I think clearly Temple thought he was going to play tonight, and then he didn't answer the bell, so now they've got to make adjustments, and it's difficult. And Cincinnati coming off a loss, very focused, energized, and tough.
And Cummings open shoot-around, playing with the teams for about 15 minutes. In the last 45 minutes, he was over on the bench with Temple's trainer, working out that leg muscle just above his ankle on the left side.
Well, you try to go. I mean, as a player, though, when you have an injury to your legs, it's just, especially when you're a guard and you rely on the quickness and timing on the perimeter, it's just, you can't go. And they've got to get them right for the long haul.
So here's Coriante DeBerry, the junior, out of Holland, Michigan. Big guy, big hands, everything about him is just voluminous.
They can get him to become a guy as well that they can throw the ball to on the box. They have some answers, and they'll develop a little depth offensively. And this could be a breakthrough ball game for Cincinnati. I like the way they've played. Their focus and their scheme was let's go inside first, and then it's opened up the outside, and everyone has played together with confidence.
Jalen Bond got position for 2 more. The junior with 6 tonight. Talked about Cummings' injury. Temple does have a couple days off. Plays next on Thursday against USF, so a chance for him to rest up. Brown with Cobb, 10 to shoot. And a foul against Jesse Morgan of Temple.
Temple foul number 3. Jesse Morgan.
So you got Cincinnati with a Wednesday game here against Houston, and then at UCF, a couple of games that, as you look at the schedule in the American, the Bearcats would hope they would get and maybe have a chance to go on a run.
Well, you know, again, the next step for a Cincinnati ball club is to prove that they can be consistent on the road. And they've been very good here at home. The win over San Diego State, the excellent win over SMU as well. But they have to go out on the road and continue to play defense first and not let their offense affect their defense.
Tulsa leading the league right now. That only SMU loss you mentioned to Cincinnati. And this is a game that will thrust Cincinnati into the upper half of the league. Memphis Tulane got a win earlier today against Houston. Memphis brought the pain against UCF with 99 in that game. Tigers are starting to get hot. We'll see them coming up next week in the rematch against Tulane. Jacozzi, little up and under. And to bury the rebound.
I'll give Larry Davis a ton of credit again. His team ready tonight to play this game. And it's not like having a substitute teacher on the sideline. Larry Davis is full of experience, toughness, knowledge. He's not going to let one loss bring him down. And obviously he's got Mick Cronin sitting in the next office with him in constant contact. So it's a group effort, tremendous experienced staff, inexperienced team who played with a lot of toughness tonight.
Played the shot clock. Quadri Moore tried to feed DeBerry. A couple of post players on that entry feed. Talked about Larry Davis. He's a former head coach. He spent 9 years as the head man at Furman, so he's got experience doing it.
And the Furman job, as we've all known through the years, is one of the toughest in the country, and he sustained for a long time there, and everyone that followed him there knew he did a great job recruiting and coaching.
Jalen Bond, that stretch 4 position, and he hits the 3. That's his 8th of the year. And Temple trying to slug away and put up some offense late in this one.
Cincinnati's relaxed a little bit the last few possessions defensively. They need to amp up their intensity.
How do you convince players to do that in a game like this?
Take them out. Take them out. Put somebody else in. That's about all you can do.
DeBerry for 2. Little mini hook.
Monte DeBerry. He's carved out space. He's using that big backside. Soft touch over the left shoulder.
Ramrod into the lane. Josh Brown, and foul called under 5 to play. So Cincinnati, a team that we talked about, the 2 losses, lose to Connecticut, lose to Memphis. Maybe most importantly that they sort of have their identity back after an un-Cincinnati-like game on Thursday.
Well, it's in them. It's in them. You know, they still are a work in progress because of their youth. And they have to show it over a period of time being consistent. But when you look at the win at NC State and here against San Diego State, you know this team has the ability to play at a high level, and tonight they've shown it as well.
A couple of big wins so far this year for Cincinnati. They'll play UConn coming up late in January here. Mormon met at the rim, got the tip in. After a career-high 11 against Memphis, he's got his first goal tonight.
Cincinnati never got down on themselves offensively. Early in the game, they were missing some easy shots, and they stayed the course with toughness in that second and third effort.
Morgan the 3 to get Temple just short of 50 tonight, but 76 for Cincinnati on an average of 61.5 for the season. That was last in the American coming in, but the offense has been outstanding, shooting 53% tonight. Tipped out of bounds. Cincinnati will hang on with a 76-48 lead.